Hi guys, welcome back to ExamDebug. This is our third or fourth tutorial on classes, and we're going to be focusing on methods for this one. If you've not done the other stuff, I'd suggest you go back and have a look. It's up to you. So I've trimmed down what we had before. So what we've got is a class that we're making called character, and this is going to be like a computer game character. And we've got our initialization method that sets up some variables, and then we've got some methods that really don't do much useful at the moment, and that's what we're going to work on today, is having a look at how we can do more with methods. Down here we're creating one character, an instance of the character, and here we're creating a second instance. So we've got two different characters. Okay, and what I want to do is, as we had before, I want to add in a new attribute here, and it's going to be called hit points. So the idea of this is going to be that each character will have a certain number of hit points. Once they go below 0, they are dead. Okay. So let's see. So let's see how we can maybe go about doing that. So we want to make a new method, and we were going to call this one get damage. So this is going to be damage. This one's going to be the amount of damage that the character does when it hits the other character. So there's a very simple kind of game thing going on here. Now to do that, I want to use a random amount. So as we did in the past, we're going to import random. If you don't know how to deal with random, then go back, have a look at that other tutorial. It's kind of the problem once we start getting further down the line. There's more and more assumptions and baggage, but it should work. Okay, anyway, what we want to do is we want to get a random number. So we say random dot rand int, and let's say we can do from 0 to 50 damage. Okay, and let's say hits equals random.randint. Now you could trim this down in other ways, but I'm just trying to keep it nice and tidy so we can follow along. Now, like we did with functions, we can output information from our methods and from our classes by using exactly the same word, return. So return means give back, and we're going to give back hits. Okay, so what we can do is, in this case, we can print it out and see. Print my char dot get damage, and remember those brackets. And hopefully, unless it's not going to like it because it's an int, but we'll see. Yeah, okay. And so we get the damage 24, and we print it out here. So my char it's going to call this here. It's going to use random to generate a number, and we can only get that information out because we're using the return method. Same as we did with functions before. On the other side, we can do things like we can bring information into our class, and we're going to take damage. Okay, so we're going to take damage. Now we always have to bring in self, as we talked about before. That's in reference to the instance, but we can bring in other parameters as well. We can bring in other pieces of information. So I'm going to bring in hits. Now it doesn't matter what it's called you'll see in a moment, it doesn't matter what it's called, but inside of this method it's going to be hits. So I'm then going to say self dot hit points equals, I'll write it out the long way just to keep it clear and simple for now, hit points minus hits. Okay, so that's going to bring in a number of hit points and remove it here. But let's see how we call that first, because maybe it's not going to be clear until you see how it's called. So we've got the damage. So we can say, oops, let me try and move this up a bit. I want you to go up here as well to keep it tidy. Get my declarations together. So this one's getting the damage, and then here we are going to say my car2 dot take underscore damage. Now, self is automatic, so here we don't need to put anything into self. So self will automatically be there. However, hits is the one that's there. So if we have to put in a number, for example, 20, and then what we want to do is we want to print this character dot hit points, and hopefully that will work. Okay, so we're taking away 20 from 300, so that's working as planned. So let's just double check that we're clear on what's happening there. So we've got the first character and we're doing the getting damage. Okay, we'll come back and mix them together in a moment. The second character is taking damage 20. So this is then going to go into this template, or into this instance of the template, or instance of the class, and it's going to take damage. Self is automatically assigned. So although you have to put the word here, it's automatic. We don't need to put anything in here to match up with self. But after that, whatever we put in here, we need to put in something. Otherwise, we'll get an error. So if we put 20 in here, it will go into the hits. So hits equals 20. Self.hitpoints equals self.hitpoints minus the number of hits. And that will then change this number here to be the number it was before minus 20. Okay, and you can have as many parameters as you want in here. You can have other stuff and You don't have to use it, but of course it makes sense if you put it in, you should use it. But the thing is, if you do put in something here and later on, oops, let's try again. Later on you try and run it, it's going to say something about missing positional argument. So missing positional argument basically means you've told me you're going to give me two things and you've only given me one thing down here, so I don't know what to do. Okay, so if we go back to 1, it should work out all right. Now of course we can combine these ideas together, so we can print the damage, but what we could also do is take away the random damage that we got from the first character. Okay, so this is going to, in this case we have one class, but we have two instances of the class which are now in this case going to be fighting against each other and interacting with each other, and that's where object-oriented programming becomes more interesting and more useful. So 91, but if we run it again, it should have a different 264. So this is going to keep moving around these different things. It's going to have these interacting with each other depending on what it is. Now, if you have a return, you can also have parameters as well. Yeah, there's no reason why you could not have parameters up here as well. But if you want to get something out, you need to put a return. But if you're just putting something into your class or into your instance of the class, then you don't need to worry about having a return method. And as you've seen last time, what we can do is we can also call other methods from inside of methods. So for example, we could say if, oops, that's the right, take damage, yeah. So once we've taken away the hit points, if self dot hit points is less than 1, then remember you need self dot is underscore dead. Okay, and then we need to put something in here. Again, you could probably, if it was a more complex program, you'd be doing more in here than just little print statements, but I'm lazy, so I'm dead. Okay, so this one's going to take the damage here, it's going to take away from the hit points. If the hit points is less than 1, then it's going to call the other method self.isDead, which is going to say I'm dead. Okay, so that's just an example of how we can start our different characters interacting, or our different instances interacting with each other. And we'll come back and we'll deal more with that later. But for now, see if you can start having your own classes that you've been developing. Try and have them interacting with each other and try and make these more complex methods that are going to take in values and are also going to return values as well. If you have any questions, post below and I'll try and get back to you. Otherwise, next video. Ciao.